Okay, and then I gotta here, streaming live commentary on the MIT-Epstein what is even my Twitch? Yeah. Here, streaming live. Okay, let's test this. This works. That works, and then I'll probably put something on Facebook. Do. Feel free to read with me here, and then link to my read with me here. Takeaways will be notes, and takeaways will be posted here. Okay, I think I'm all set up. I've got a Google Doc of stuff that I'm reading. I've got this. I don't know if anyone's watching because I'm doing this from the limited Twitch thing. Suggestion, can you change the fonts of the notes URL? Okay, I can do that. I don't freaking know. From Arial to... Okay, I've changed it to like a heavy serif font. I don't know, got unlucky with bit.ly, so. Alright, what am I reading? Alright, so I got these reports. You can see from the document, this dropped today. There's the camera. Report concerning Jeffrey Epstein's interaction with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So this dropped today, 63 pages. I'm gonna read it. It's already pretty juicy. Woody Allen shows up in this already. And it's 63 pages. It's gonna be a lot. If you want to, you can see from the Google Doc that I have like a lot of personal feelings about this. Richard Stallman, I don't think shows up in here because like that was seriously a digression. But anyways, so the things that I have is I have the report from the president, which is how we found out about it. We have FAQs about like including like why did this take so long. We have the statement of the executive committee, and then we have also MIT news. So the order that I'm going to read this is I'm first going to read the president's thing because that was kind of like the first introduction to what this was going to be. I'm then going to read the MIT news report because this is kind of MIT's version of the TLDR. I'm then going to read the report, the executive committee statement, and then like the FAQs, which is kind of pretty short and will probably be answered through this. Anyways, so let me get those documents in order. This is probably going to be a pretty boring stream. It's going to be me literally reading. I'm not reading aloud to you guys because y'all are older than that, but all right. Raphael Reif, to the members of Learning from the Facts and Taking Action. So, yeah, like actual, like, you know, film director Woody Allen, like, you know, adopted his daughter and then later married her. Woody Allen, like Ronan Farrow's dad may have assaulted his like Ronan Farrow's sister, his daughter, Woody Allen. Yeah, like it's so I mean, I guess on like the first pass through, like from what I've skimmed, it seems like there was some concern from the protesters that Goodwin Procter is a law firm that MIT is already really close with. So there was concerns from the protesters that the full report was not going to get released, or that like it would paint a pretty fair, like biased view of the administration. For me particularly, I'm curious. So the executive committee of the corporation has said that we have full confidence in Reif. I'm curious if that's going to hold, or if it's going to be a similar thing of like, say, the Mueller report, where it's like, oh, President Trump did nothing wrong, even though the actual report was like, curious. Israel Ruiz, who used to be executive vice president, has left and is implicated in this report. So again, kind of curious how that turns out. Okay. An enduring MIT value is the willingness to face hard facts, and as community voices have made clear, this situation deserves openness and transparency. I mean, that's sort of funny considering like when we go to President Reif, it's like, I don't know. Anyways. Yeah. So this is something that I'm actually pretty happy about. It uses the names of the central figure, in particular senior academics, administrative leaders, and staff. They say they do redact some of the junior staffers who like reported stuff. Flipping through the report, it's like MIT like Media Lab staffer said this, but they committed in the FAQ to saying that anyone who's a professor, anyone who's a senior administration is going to be named explicitly in this report. And Reif is kind of repeating what he said earlier when he was begging for people for the report to come out, that says, in return for this transparency, I hope and expect that in the best MIT tradition, we can respond with decency, fairness, and understanding. I think he's also responding to the fact that the Boston Globe back in September leaked the fact that there were some staffers, in particular, a vice president and like the head of development were named as people who were aware that the gifts were being anonymized. So it'll be curious to see how that leads in. A sharp reminder of human fallibility and its consequences. So another thing that us, the protesters, were unhappy about is that in these communications about the whole Epstein thing, like there was no like pointing resources to survivors, and so that has changed. There's like now a pretty big thing in there of like, and also on the main website itself, it's like, hey, we're going to be talking about Epstein, this is going to be distressing to survivors. So I'm glad that happened. The actions of a senior faculty member have raised new concerns, which is a weird way to phrase it. It's not new. I think it's like maybe the extent to which Seth Lloyd was working with him, but it's not new. like most of the damning stuff he actually admitted. So it's placed on leave. Reif doesn't say that it's paid leave, but again, something that people have been unhappy about. It's interesting he's throwing Ito under the bus. The report recounts the conduct not only of senior academics, but of administrative leaders they worked with. The findings identify senior administrators who faced repeated requests that Epstein funding be allowed and made judgments about how to accept in management. These administrative leaders were weighing their concerns about Epstein as a donor against pressure from a lab director that the funding be approved. So it's making it seem like as if like Ito is like going against like what the administrative leaders are saying, which would be interesting. And I regret that MIT did not have sufficient policies and processes in place to guide these senior administrations. It's, again, like deflecting it to like a policy question for the senior administrators, which, sure. I wish they had taken to heart the concerns others brought to them and simply put a stop to the Epstein funding, rather than improvising guidelines to allow the gifts under certain constraints. So it's, again, like deferring responsibility away from the administrators and more to the policies, which interestingly, when we talked to Seth Lloyd in person, was the same kind of things that he was saying. He was like, I wish there was someone at MIT to tell me not to take this money, and that like just pushing away all responsibilities from like what he himself was doing. Knowing these individual administrators, I am certain that they were acting in good faith. Okay, so then President Reif splits into 5 policies that need to happen, or 5 things that he's pushing for to happen. So one is we need clear policies and processes to guide decisions about, again, push onto policies and processes. He then talks about the ad hoc committees, which Democratize MIT has protested about because it's like these were appointed and not democratically put about, which is something that, again, like Democratize MIT, these committees were pushed after Democratize MIT and the faculty, senior female faculty, put their thing for this. So interesting. So Provost, VP for Research, and VP for Finance are now saying that they're going to have an additional process to make sure all relevant information is reviewed before a gift is accepted. Like, what does this mean? Also asked the VP for Resource Development, which in the past was the person who was implicated by the Boston Globe, and CEO of the Alumni Association, who shares responsibility for the donor database, to immediately identify and implement steps to strengthen its integrity and factual accuracy, which is also a question mark because that's not the issue here. The issue here is that, like, there is no sense of, like, criminal disqualification. Which I don't think it's a factual accuracy issue. I think, like, they knew, like, whether or not the people who should have known it, like, got that information is the issue. And also, like, I don't know what strengthen the integrity of a donor database means. All right, 2, we need to build a culture in which whistleblowing is accepted. So in addition to Signe Swenson, other individuals warned leaders, but their warnings were disregarded. So fine. 3, we need guidelines to keep our oh shit, that's why Mystery Hunt is getting cracked down on. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is absolute CYA bullshit. Okay. Number 3, we need guidelines to keep our community safe from visitors who pose a direct threat. Like, that's actually it.
That's obviously, like, the problem with Epstein visiting campus is that we have an open campus and everyone can walk in, and this is why this happened, because Epstein just walked in.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Like,
this is just hilariously just so.
On our open campus, members of our community are free to invite guests. However, as the Epstein experience illustrates, this freedom comes with risks. like the sheer idea that like
the reason why Epstein posed a danger on campus was because we had an open campus is so.
Oh my god. That's also not what an open campus means. It's not that it doesn't mean that you're free. Like, not what this means. It doesn't mean that you're free to invite guests. Like, that should happen anywhere. Even Harvard, like, I assume that, like, people can...
But also, the point of this, it wasn't the open campus that, like, made Epstein be able to, like, go into offices of people and have conversations with, like... Right? You don't, like, when you invite your mom over, you're not like, oh, hi, Mom, come in, why don't we, like, go to the provost's office and, like, try to...
I also think, like, you know, like, an open campus is very different from, like, you know, a literal sex offender.
Yeah.
Like...
I mean, like, clearly this is not the reason why this happened. Like, they just opened, like...
God, yeah, this is really cover your ass. I'm asking the provost chancellor, fine. General counsel, legal. Faculty officers, and our campus police. Like... Proposed guidelines that'll prevent similar risks in the future. Don't invite sex offenders! Maybe, I'm not saying this might be a stretch, but maybe don't invite war criminals also to campus.
I'm kind of terrified about, like, this statement. Because, okay, first of all, it completely is like, oh, like, clearly the problem is an open campus. We're just gonna shut down the open campus, but now I feel like they're gonna use this statement as an excuse to, like... I don't know, I have a feeling that this is a very troubling, like... statement with like if I don't know.
So like part of the reason we're freaking out is that like Mystery Hunt, a very large event, has recently said that you can't have people overnight, and like security was cited as a concern. And like if anything, it's even less secure to have a bunch of people who like don't know MIT campus being like, well, better find like a random place I can go to at like midnight. Like
I also feel like this weirdly like, I don't know, we have guidelines to keep our community safe from visitors who pose a direct threat. Like, what do you define direct threat? Like, I'm just really weirded out by this statement as, like, it could be used to excuse a whole number of reasons why you, like, don't allow someone in.
I mean, like, Hittabel has already been, like, kind of, like, yikesy of, like, oh, like, they're not MIT community, like, don't let them in, right? And being like, you know, like, there's sketchy randos in, like, the MIT community as well as in, like... Yeah. Outside of Cambridge, and like that's a weird divide. I'm not sure how much I fully agree with that, but it's definitely like, oh, like this is like saying that the issue of like the Sarnev brothers was that they weren't MIT affiliated or something like that. And like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Cause like between the provost, the chancellor, the general counsel, legal advice, faculty officers, and campus police, like I don't...
Like, what? Like, obviously, like, this happened because, like, a professor was like, hey, let's invite Epstein on campus. Not because some person was like, oh, I'm gonna open the door for you. Like, right? Like, this is not going to stop a professor from inviting someone on, like...
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, this is not gonna stop someone with power from being like, hey, I want my rich buddy to come to campus.
Oh my god.
This is, like, not going to stop that. This is...
Alright. Well, number 4, at least, is another statement we can get behind, which is that we need to support the Media Lab community. Yeah. Please hug a member from the Media Lab today. That's... Sure. And number 5. Oh, there's a link to surveys. Interesting. We need an institute-wide community process to address persistent issues in our campus climate and culture. This past fall, in public and in private, in person and in writing, in anonymous surveys and heartfelt personal pleas, many individuals have described ways that they got harassed, right? Like, but there's a link to surveys, which I'm interested in. I'll go post this in the Google Doc. Where is this? So this is... Man. Alright, what's our... Rife's letter, the takeaways. 1, like, pushing things away from administrators onto policies and process. Oh, yeah. Cover as bullshit on open campus being a reason for Epstein being invited. And then link to surveys about harassment. Let's see. Oh my god. Where's the link to surveys? Oh, it's just the campus climate survey on sexual assault. Okay. Yeah, I mean, their personal accounts jive closely with the recommendations of the working group we convened in response to the AAU survey, which is this one. I am typing these things into the chat or the Google Doc, by the way, if you want to see what I'm reading now. Okay, so this was okay, this is mostly the charge. Where? No response to the November 5th forum. Oh, here is the note. No, there's no response to the November 5th forum. Just presentations. No notes from November 5th forum. Just discussion of charge and draft working groups. So, okay, so no, there hasn't really been. Just like, it's just recommendations. So, the most egregious things, let's see, most egregious things from these reports. Things left out from this report. Let me go pull up this link real quick. Make sure to read the full report. They try really hard in the summaries to exonerate Rife, but there's some pretty sus shit. We will definitely be going through the actual report. Am I out of touch? No, it's the students who are wrong. And hey, thanks everybody for coming and watching. Okay, so I was curious if they had anything about this. Let me see. Okay, here is its appendix 3. Can I link to this? No. Okay. So this is footnote 3 from, let's see, MIT Students Against War. Lloyd report, which is here. That is big font. Okay, so I was curious to see what the administration was saying, because Rife specifically says, like, okay, the personal accounts from what people are saying are coincide with the recommendations of the working group that we gave for the report, the sexual assault report. So there was a campus forum about this, and so at the campus forum, so I didn't go to it, I was out of town, but two things that are really concerning is that, like, one, the rate of sexual assault for faculty is twice as much as other institutions, but they have not released the aggregate information about faculty that someone has been campaigning for the last 2 years to get, despite the fact that there were 24 formal reports to HR, which means faculty or staff, and 23 reports to the Committee on Discipline, which means their students. So despite there being similar amounts of reports, the faculty ones have been much more reported. The faculty ones remain anonymous for and not reported in aggregate, despite the student ones have. I've talked to the chancellor about this, off the record, and she was just, or not off the record, just casually, and she was saying that it's oh, we don't have a systematic database for it. It's all scattered around these individual departments, so that's why we haven't been able to report it, whereas everything goes in through DSL, Division of Student Life, for the students, so that's why we have that aggregate data. So we're working on centralizing the data, which is a lame excuse, especially considering that the fact that the sexual assault rates for the faculty are twice as high as other places. So yeah, not anything on the official websites for that. Okay. Building on these and the thoughtful recommendations of past MIT community studies, the Chancellor, the Provost, General Counsel, legal people, Vice President for Human Resources, and other MIT leaders, and big, are now designing an inclusive process that will allow our communities to articulate the goals we share for our campus climate and culture, and decide how best to achieve them together. Could this be democratized? Perhaps? Maybe we should democratize? Maybe that... maybe democratize and not... I don't know how you can get away with a statement like this and be no, democratizing will, not be the right solution. There's no way that a democratic process could possibly share the same equality as our individually picked program. This is screaming out of, decide how best to achieve the goals for our campus climate together. Anyways. Early in the spring semester. Great. I feel bad, says President Reif. I'm very grateful to the whistleblowers. I am more grateful than I can say to everyone who has taken action to try to bring MIT back on course. Do you think Reif is grateful for me? Thanks to the fact-finding team. Thanks. Oh yeah, respect and gratitude to every member of our community who attended one of the forums, submitted a comment, or raised a concern. I also owe an immense debt of gratitude to a member of MIT's current senior team who had no role in the Epstein funding, but who have endured this difficult period with remarkable steadiness, patience, and wisdom. Fuck this. I don't know. I guess you have to kiss up to the executive committee and the current senior team, I guess. I don't know. As all of you demonstrated, there's a great deal that is right with MIT. We must fix what needs fixing and improve what needs improving. Okay. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, just in general, of you know, that you have allies in places, but it's just that's... Alright. Great. That's one done. What was the other takeaway that I would get from this? The democratized point, I guess. Okay, that's Reif's letter. So next I'm going to be reading the MIT News article. So I'm reading the MIT News article left because it kind of summarizes what it seems like the admins want you to take away as the main point. That's a good point. Throughout the fall, admins said they couldn't do anything about Lloyd because it was a departmental issue, and now suddenly Reif has the magical ability to put him on paid leave. This is a solid point. Alright, MIT News. MIT releases relative fact findings on engagement with Jeffrey Epstein. Pertaining to 10... Okay, so there's 10 Epstein donations totaling $850K between 2002 and 2017, as well as multiple visits, which is 9, but they don't say it here. The report concludes that Rife was not aware and had no role in approving MIT's acceptance. The review finds that 3 MIT vice presidents learned of Epstein's donations and his status as a convicted sex offender. That's pretty big. That they, like, knew? Okay. In 2013, in the absence of any MIT policy regarding controversial gifts, okay, like, big question mark, they were approved under an informal network developed by R. Gregory Morgan, Jeffrey Newton, and Israel Ruiz. Israel Ruiz, who has stepped down recently. Alright. Quoting from the Rife letter. Oh no, quoting from the report. I'm excited for this report. Since MIT had no policy or processes for handling controversial donors at the time, the decision to accept the post-conviction donations cannot be judged to be a policy violation. But it is clear that the decision was a result of collective and significant errors in judgment. Oh, Seth Lloyd also invited him to campus too. Shit. Lloyd purposely failed to inform MIT that Epstein was the source of 2 donations. And he got a $60K in a personal bank account.
I bet those were the 2 facts that suddenly made Rife be able to have the magical power.
Magical power to be put on paid leave. Oh my god. Interesting. Today's public release follows discussion of the findings at a special meeting of the corporation this morning. So the shadowy corporation met today.
I just gonna forever imagine them as this like dark monster clown that like vaguely goes like, you know, let's not talk about like, you know, let's not talk about sex positivity at Rush events. Just don't. Just don't.
The children, they're having sex. Did you know?
Oh god.
I think what's really weird to me is like because of the Jeopardy thing, like I actually got invited to the this is the corporation visiting committee, but I've got like fancy ass name tags because I've gone to the corporation.
Do you see them? Are they
real? Yeah.
Real?
No, but like what I think is crazy is that like I literally, you know, they say the thing where it's like, oh, if you got to sit down with like President Rife and he asked you what the #1 issue of student life is, what would you say? And that's like a thought question that they say, but like that actually happened to me, and like I botched it because I wasn't thinking about it, and I said like something student autonomy, you know, but it's just like shit. Like I was in like I don't know, you like yeah, it is. I saw the mysterious glow cloud, and the report apparently implicates the head of the corporation board, Robert Millard. Yeah, anyways, the shadowy corporation met today. 73 interviews with 59 individuals, as well as a review of 610,000 emails and documents. The execcom statement says the fact-finding took 4 months longer than what was initially expected. The report being made public today makes for uncomfortable reading. I am excited for this juicy-ass goss! Statement affirms the executive committee's full confidence in Rife. And then it's talking about President Rife's statement. Encourages all members of the MIT community to read the full range of materials. Which is why we are here today. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
In January?
Yes. The names of less senior employees who may in the course of doing their jobs have played roles in the Epstein investigations engagements have been excluded from the report. So, yeah, this is still talking. yeah, it's weird that they quote. I again think like the members of MIT's current senior team who had no role in the Epstein funding, but who have endured this difficult period, I think is like a weird statement. And there's one that like the press release, the MIT News press release, like explicitly quotes, because it's a weird statement. Like, it almost sounds like he's patting himself on the back of like, I had nothing to do with this, but I have endured this with like.
I wonder if he's also commending the current senior team who didn't have any role in the funding, but were like, what the fuck the whole time.
Like, so sure, yeah. So it's 850K, which is an increase from the approximately 800K. Whatever, this is... The earliest gift was 100K given in 2002 to Marvin Minsky, who is... So this thing doesn't point out, but I've seen the timeline in there, is that the remaining 9 donations is to the Media Lab and to Seth Lloyd, but what they actually don't break down is that in the Media Lab, it's only to like 4 professors. It's to Ito, Neri Oxman, Joshua Bach, and like, I don't know, Minsky if you count him. The report indicates that Epstein viewed the 2012 gifts to Seth Lloyd as a trial period to test MIT's willingness to accept donations following his conviction. Professor Lloyd knew that donations from Epstein would be controversial, says the report. In concert with Epstein, he purposely decided not to alert the institute, choosing instead to allow mid-level administrators to process the donations. Which is interesting, like, again, like, push responsibility from self onto others. Following one of the 250K donations, staff presented a standard gift acknowledgement letter to Epstein, and President Reif signed it. So that's the apparently I signed this letter. There's no evidence that Reif or anyone else involved sending the presidential acknowledgement letter had any knowledge. Interesting. No mention of the Roscoe stuff. Which is back in 2015, people are like, Epstein is bragging about the fact that he's given the Media Lab in Harvard a donation to restore these Rothko paintings. And Signe Swenson said that like, oh, like they freaked out. But it's not in here. The only thing that it says is that the Media Lab rejected an additional $25K that Epstein offered in February 2019. I'm gonna go find a citation for that Rothko stuff real quick. Okay, so in the Google Doc, I've a link to 2 things. One, which is the 2015 Reuters case, Reuters thing, which says that, like, honestly, this could have been written in 2019. You know, some charities have received money from Jeffrey Epstein, said they're reviewing their relationship with him and will decline to accept any further gifts with him, given the allegations he forced an underage girl to have sex with Prince Andrew. Like, this is 2015, you know? Where's the relevant bit? In a July 2014 press release, Epstein claimed he provided funding for scientists at Harvard and MIT to restore Roscoe murals, and in 2014 he said he gave money to the MIT Media Lab to teach toddlers computer programming. According to MIT Media Lab spokeswoman Alexandra Kahn, the Roscoe press release was simply not correct and issued without our knowledge or agreement. But meanwhile, in the Guardian article that I linked about Signe Swenson has directly contradicted this and said, if you control F Rothko, yep. Swenson recalls that Epstein gave a relatively small gift, $50,000 or $100,000, to help restore a Rothko painting. 3 months later, he unexpectedly acknowledged the gift in the press release. According to Swenson, he was trying to show Joey that he had to keep him happy. He was saying to Joey, "I can destroy you by telling people you know me." We were all frantic, Swenson recalls. The MIT press office reached out to investigate. They were wanting to refute or play down what he said. If it came out, Joey was ready to call Epstein and ask him to take it down. But in any event, the press release was not widely picked up, so there was no need to spring into action. Like, I find it extremely interesting that the Rothko section was not mentioned in this part, considering that there's, like, again, like, national news about this. I'm gonna backfill some of my notes from this first. Three MIT VPs. Oh. Alright, so the things I filled out was that 3 MIT VPs knew that Epstein was a sex offender, not just giving money. Cecil Lloyd did not inform MIT about 2 donations. Nope. Oh, who is this?
What do you think?
Nope.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm on stream, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just be careful what you want to say.
Thanks for the warning.
Yep. The other things that I added, let's see. Cecil Lloyd, MIT Corporation met today, and then Cecil Lloyd did not inform about 2 donations, got a personal gift. Oh, okay. Fields put his favorite bits about what he enjoyed about the report, which I will read later. Okay, I think that's about it for my things here. And there's no mention of the Rothkos. Okay, so the initial 2013 gift to the Media Lab, as well as Epstein's criminal record, was brought to MIT's VP and General Counsel, the VP for Resource Development, and Ruiz, who is Executive VP and Treasurer. The 3, acting in good faith, debated whether to accept Epstein's post-conviction donations. So in terms of, like, who decides, it's these 3 people, is basically what it comes down to. Right. Trying to protect the Institute to the extent possible by insisting that such donations remain unpublicized. So this is, oh, sorry, what's his name? Larry Lessig's point about anonymous donations. And then linking to Lessig, Medium. So then when they had this framework, they just kept going along this. Significant mistakes of judgment, understatement. So the three things that the report finds wrong with this is that it's MIT's core values, the effect it would have on the MIT community, whether when these donations become known, and whether the anonymous thing. I mean, this is like a giant call for transparency, right? Of like, let these funding decisions not just be decided in 3 people in a back room. Okay, and then they have some highlights. So, Goodwin Procter did not find evidence that Epstein actually arranged the money from Gates and Leon Black, who is the Apollo Global Management. So, okay, they just don't think that, for sure. So perhaps the Rothko was a lie. So they like set up this framework and then like Epstein like ignores the fact that he's supposed to keep it anonymous. He also publicly claimed credit in 2014 for 2 gifts that he did not make to MIT. Epstein was never disqualified in MIT's donor database, and also clarifying that disqualified does not mean prohibited from donating. It just means inactive or no longer interested in giving to MIT. So I'm definitely a disqualified donor. There's some evidence that Epstein may have come up as a brief topic of discussion. They don't remember whether Epstein came up, but they were pretty sure that if a sex offender or pedophile, the term sex offender or pedophile came up, they would have remembered it. And then, unbeknownst to MIT senior team, Ito sought unsuccessfully to enlist the chair of the MIT Corporation in cultivating Epstein as a donor. I am sitting on a teddy bear. I'm not sitting on a lawn chair. I'll put this like... Oh, interesting. Epstein also emailed the chairman of the corporation for dinner, but the chairman of the corporation declined. I'm curious to see that. Certain topics that have been the subject of media coverage, but were our side of the scope, are not addressed by this report. Please, let's not talk about Richard Stallman. Okay, so the scope of this report is what donations Epstein made, who in senior leadership was aware of these, when and why he visited MIT, and whether the leadership was aware of these visits. Like, I believe that the leadership was not aware of these visits. Like, sure, that seems fine. And then this thing ends with Rife's 5 priorities. It's pretty much the same, except they like name names for the different positions. A comment of being pledging to donate, but no things of like whether they actually donated or not. And that's about it for the news report. Man. Alright. Alright, now what you're all been waiting for. We're gonna read the goddamn report.
Oh, there's a statement of the executive committee of the MIT Corporation.
Huh?
There's an additional statement.
Oh yeah, I have that printed out too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's this one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read this afterwards because I think I want to read it.
Oh, the report first.
Report first to see how they summarize it. Peralta says, I wish we could talk about more about Richard Stallman. Yeah, if you want to talk more about Richard Stallman, I am pretty involved in that. AKA, I'm the person who sent out the email that had Richard Stallman shoot himself in the foot. Like, you know, like, yeah, I want to talk about Richard Stallman, but, like, I recognize that, like, I mean, even, like, when I describe this thing, I'm like, Richard Stallman was a digression from this whole thing. It matters a lot to the people who in computer science, and, like, oh yeah, hey, Will. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just, like, I mean, like, you know, MIT, it's literally a law firm. You just want to cover your ass about this thing. So, today we are reading the report concerning Jeffrey Epstein's interactions with the MIT Massachusetts Institute of Technology. God. Alright. Alright, MIT News. What is this? So I love the table of contents already, which is pretty good. So first it's introduction, executive summary, the donations he made, in-depth thing of Seth Lloyd and Joy Ito, and then going step by step of how the senior team approved the acceptance, the 9 visits. Nobody's aware of the visits. No more. There's still no written policy. Yeah, I am most curious about members of the senior team reaffirmed the approach regarding Epstein donations from 2015 through 2018. I'm Ito approaching Chairman Millard, which I'm not too surprised that it didn't go anywhere. Like, I don't know, I expect if I cold emailed the chairman, like, nothing would happen. I'm curious why this happened. Like, why would Ito approach it? I'm kind of curious. Like, it seemed like Epstein is kind of like boiling the frog, you know what I mean? About, like, first going to Seth Lloyd, and then going to, like, Ito, and then, like, trying to get to the chairman. And I'm not sure what he's trying to do by boiling the frog. Like, does he want, like, a school founded, like he got through Harvard? Maybe? I don't know. I also want to know what the senior team was thinking about seeks to accommodate Ito. And, of course, the 9 visits. Because apparently Seth Lloyd... I'll put that in that thing. Why was Epstein boiling the frog for MIT? Great. God, I love footnotes.
You should really read all the footnotes. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff buried in them that should have been in the main body.
Really? Why?
It was just like having skimmed through a couple of them, which like really complicate the narrative or like make things look worse than. It's like I paid attention to the footnotes. I would say.
I guess, do you count as Twitch chat? Sure.
I could see this in Twitch chat.
I mean, I'll just put you in the Twitch chat, the peanut gallery section of the my live streaming notes. They really complicate the narrative. Like, this is so snarky. I love it. The part I'm on the first page. Joy Ito resigned from MIT, notwithstanding an earlier petition supporting him that was signed by hundreds of faculty, students, and alumni. So snarky. Like, why? That's interesting that the lawyers are like, who's involved. I feel like I'm reading like a FOIA request, like Freedom of Information Act, of like, you specifically asked us for X, Y, and Z, so we're only going to touch X, Y, and Z, you know? And so there's actually an art in writing like FOIA requests to make sure that like you like actually get the information that you want and not letting them like weasel around. So they're explicitly limiting the scope to only MIT and only bringing up outside people when they're relevant. So no Harvard stuff, I think, or like minimal Harvard stuff. I like this like very straightforward like lawyer. The corporation is the governing body of MIT. Thanks. Like, they're just straight up posted the bylaws in here.
They also describe what they define as the whole senior team.
Yeah. Okay, since 2012, which is the scope. Oh, so this is the org chart definition. This is like, I'll just post this in for people. It's probably just like orgchart.mit.edu. Yeah. Okay, so there's the org chart. Julie Lucas was explicitly called out by Signe Swenson. On December 19th, 2019, Ruiz provided notice of his resignation, which is something I've like kind of talked about a little bit in this live stream. Include Chris Kaiser, who I know, Grimson, who we all love to hate as students. Oh, interesting. Oh, geez.
Did you hit the second law firm?
No, R. Gregory Morgan was president of the corporation.
Oh.
Was senior vice president and secretary of the corporation. Because he started out as general counsel. He started out as general counsel and then turned into senior vice president and secretary of the corporation. And he's one of the guys, like, implicated. What's this? Yeah, I saw in the FAQ or something. Okay, the second law firm. To advise the committee? Huh. Huh.
So they hired a law firm to investigate everything, and they hired a second law firm
To protect their ass.
Protect their ass.
Right, this is also what if this is at all in response to the complaints that Goodwin Procter is way too closely involved with MIT and they wanted him more outside counsel.
Except it only is a counsel to the executive committee.
Yeah.
Like, not great. Like, this is not what we meant by... Okay, this sounds like it's time for the FAQ. Which is... frequently asked question, why was the second law firm hired?
Yeah, is the last question.
Yeah, it's the last question. Paul Weiss, which also has extensive experience leading internal investigations and advising boards of directors. Oh my god. And advising... But no prior relationship with MIT. Alright, this is not what we meant when we said we wanted an independent investigation. It's just like... God. I like how they knew that people were going to ask about this. This is... Okay. Executive summary. I always think that, like, the legal definition of, like, search terms and stuff is, like, super interesting. Advanced database is MIT's donor database. I also think, like, the use of the word custodians is interesting. Like, MIT custodians. Yeah. It really makes me think of, like, janitorial staff, but, like, you know. Oh, interesting. There was the hotline. 40 people used the hotline. I don't actually know what forensic analysis means in this contract. Number 8 is a funny footnote. All evidence gathered was considered in the creation of this report. MIT cooperated fully. Memories are understandably incomplete. I love this This is also like, I don't know, maybe I'm too used to reading like legal papers, but this is like very readable.
I mean, they had to make it very readable because they knew that the whole MIT community was going to be reading this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Number 2 is interesting, and I believe it, that all the post-conviction donations were driven by Joey and Seth Lloyd. Which I believe. I feel like Epstein is doing this boiling the pot thing.
Yeah.
And he like tried to get it into the chairman, but like, yeah. Oh, interesting. Seth Lloyd was the one to tell them that he got the 60K gift. That's interesting. That's interesting how that got spun in the MIT News article.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause like, how MIT News puts it, it's like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
yeah. I almost feel like number 3 in the executive summary almost makes me feel like Seth Lloyd needed to disclose that he got this personal gift beforehand. That like that almost kind of like kind of like when you write papers, you like acknowledge that like this is a non-trivial gift, and like I think it's hard. The reason you acknowledge it in your research is that it's like it's hard to ignore the fact that you've been paid by the tobacco company and now do research in that, right? Like I think that's sort of similar. Like the same thing about like President Reif is on the board of Schlumberger, like an oil company, and then like you expect me to trust what he says about like taking money from fossil fuel companies. You like you have obviously made this moral decision in the past, and like I can't trust you to make like an objective moral decision about this for like the institute that you're a part of. And I kind of feel like, I guess like more ethically, like how I don't think you would ever be forced to report this, but it almost feels like this is really important. Do you kind of get what I'm trying to say?
I'm trying to. I don't know where your point is. I'm trying to figure out where your point is.
Yeah.
Like, are you surprised that he gave up the information? Are you?
Okay.
Sorry.
After talking to Seth Lloyd, I'm not surprised he gave up this information because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I almost feel like personal gifts or like personal involvements should be like disclosed before you like for your like responsibility as a leader of this like an institution, right?
Yeah.
Like, do I think that the fact that I like stream on Twitch, for example, should like kind of give me some like negative points about like, you know, we're looking for a streaming service, and I'm like, oh, I use Twitch, and like, you know, and like the fact that I've made money off of Twitch, it seems like something that should come up, right? I don't know. I guess this is just me being like, what is our, as a person, like what's our personal responsibility to disclose like gifts and like. Make this note. I think it's also interesting reading this one, like number 3, because like when we talked to Seth Lloyd, he was like, oh, I considered Epstein one of my friends, and like I wanted to rehabilitate him back into society, and we were like, you rehabilitate a millionaire back into society by taking their money, and like, yeah, if someone gave me 60K, I think that was a pretty good. Right, and this is old. This is like 2005, 2006. Yeah. Professor Lloyd also solicited a donation. That's number 4. I think like viewing it in this timeline, I think is interesting because it's like Seth Lloyd, according to this, like hid the fact that Epstein was a convicted sex offender, whereas like in 2013, Ito asks the senior administration. He asks Larry Lessig, who he knows is a survivor of sexual assault, like, what do I do in this situation? And is like much more upfront with all of this, whereas like Seth Lloyd, like, purposely failed to inform. You know, it's interesting. It is like very lawyer to say like it was not a policy violation, but it was significant errors in judgment. This is interesting. Certain others disagreed that this was a mistake of judgment, arguing that society is better off if money from bad sources is put to good uses. I'm like really sus about the term like acting in good faith after like I don't know, some of my friends have like gotten wrecked by this like, oh yeah, they did all this shitty thing to you, but they were acting in good faith. Like I don't know, I'm like sus about what this term means.
Yeah, it looks like it's a specific legal term. Like nobody is breaching a contract, like interpreting it in like a reasonable way.
Epstein's VPs and sure, I believe that the VPs did not try to make any personal gain from this. Like, what an... I guess, like, that's what you care about as a lawyer, I guess.
Well, they've got a lot of experience doing this. There are probably cases where people are getting personal gain.
Yeah.
And like this is the thing they feel compelled to comment on.
Yeah. Also, we're attempting to protect MIT's reputation. They did not adequately consider or guard against a reasonably foreseeable possibility that Ito and others would allow repeated access to cultivate more and larger donations. I mean, that's like the issue, right? Like, everybody is making these decisions in this hope, in exactly this hope, to cultivate more and larger donations. Like, that's why these VPs are making this decision to make this, like, complicated system in the first place. Alright, now I'm into the findings. Findings 1. Like, this is one thing I always love about legal documents, is that they very explicitly state what the outline of this thing is going to be. Yeah. No Pizzagate. People were trying to connect, like, it's wild reading Pizzagate things because they were trying to connect Epstein to Bill Clinton in that time. It's just like, people knew he was a bad dude. Intensified significantly in 2015 was the Prince Andrew allegations. Oh, that's gross. Epstein made donations to charities as varied as an all-girls school in Manhattan. God. The Daily Beast? They cite the Daily Beast? How is this a reputable news source? I think this one's interesting about, like, them claiming that there's, like, a pattern of, like, Epstein meeting academics in, like, one-off situations.
Yeah.
And, like, really doing, like, this, like, networking, like... He was probably really charming in person.
Also, you sound a lot more charming when you go
Yeah. Okay, here's the table on page 9. Right, so it's Marvin Minsky, it's Seth Lloyd, it's Joy Ito, it's Josha Bach, and it's Neri Oxman. That's the... Like, it's not the media lab, it's like 5 people. Way to whitewash. Organize an off-campus conference on artificial intelligence. You mean, like, go to his island? Oh, he didn't visit Epstein in jail. He visited it at work release.
I like how they're putting work release in quotes because this is clearly, like,
Yeah.
not a legitimate work release program to begin with.
Yeah. Interesting. Joy Ito met Epstein at a TED conference. Wow! Wow! Joshua Bach declines to be interviewed. Wow! The Media Lab hires Bach in large part because Epstein subsidized the cost? Holy shit, why does this guy not want to be interviewed? I'm posting the Gates New York Times article. Because so they claim that Epstein did not arrange for the $2 million donation for Bill Gates, despite the fact that like there's this New York Times article that talks about Bill Gates being like heavily like buddy with Epstein. And so like I think it's interesting. Yeah, their support for MIT and the Media Lab has always been completely independent of Mr. Epstein, because they've had a strong, decades-long relationship with MIT, which also goes with people's like, why does Bill Gates of all people need to go through Epstein? Like, I buy that. I don't think it's off the hook. These footnotes have all the good info. Oh. Okay, so this legal report is mostly concerned about like the laundry allegation. See, like the thing that I feel weird about is that like Epstein only gives 850K total, which is like real minuscule compared to 600 million per year. Like this is something that's always kind of confused me is like why like the was it worth it line.
I think they were those report we'll discuss, but I think they were expecting to get on the order of millions at a time later on from him.
I see.
And you're talking about this whole like fishing for it. Really.
Yeah.
And also like for
fraud.
Like for Bach, who wasn't affiliated with MIT
Until
he got Epstein funding.
I see.
It was worth it for him.
Yeah. God, he didn't want to be interviewed. That's like so sus. I'm like, Jesus. I think this is a reasonable reason of why they think the senior team is acting in good faith. Of like, we're wary of Epstein and nearly returned his May 2013 donation. So I'm pretty interested to see how they talk about their thought process. What? This one directly contradicts photographic evidence.
What?
Professor Lloyd also visited Epstein's private island, though only for a few hours for lunch. The MIT Students Against War has a picture of, like, Seth Lloyd at a conference. Yeah, like... Ah, jeez. Yeah, like...
Sorry, which one is not true?
Page 12. Professor Lloyd also visited Epstein's private island, though for only a few hours for lunch.
Okay.
I think this is, like, directly contradicting. Yeah, there's the rehabilitation line, too. I mean, again, through all of this, it's like, why was Lloyd still allowed to teach when this extensive of investigations were going on? And he's talking to them, and it's not like he doesn't know he's being investigated. Like...
It's interesting that they pulled Ruiz out.
Yeah.
But they didn't pull Lloyd out. Lloyd.
No, Ruiz only got kicked out December 2019. He only quit right before this report was going to go public. Yeah. And the other two guys... one guy... No, in 2018, one guy left. I don't know where Jeffrey Newton is right now. I think Jeffrey Newton also is gone. So that's interesting. So yeah, Ruiz was definitely forced out. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's not a satisfying answer, but I think it's just because Seth Lloyd's an idiot. God. Like, it's like the more and more I think about it, the more and more shameful it is of like hiding behind the students. I'm like, why are you still teaching when they're like? I asked him straight to his face, and he's like, well, ask my students, you know, like, and like, that's so shameful. And impossible violation of MIT policies, and certainly in violation of MIT norms. Professor Lloyd deposited the gift into a personal bank account. Oh my god. Yeah, there's the line. I feel like the only reason that Seth Lloyd even told MIT that he got this donation from Epstein is because it was a sabbatical, and people are gonna know that like you just can't just like, where'd you get this money from the sabbatical? Yeah. Oh, this is juicy. Several witnesses informed us that Epstein was barred by the conference organizers from attending the TED conference, so he often met people in hallways.
Oh my god. That's what I meant by like spicy footnotes.
This is spicy! Well-known Harvard Law School professor. It's Larry Lessig, yeah. Also, like, God bless Joy Ito doing the Google search.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it might be I'm biased because like I like took Joy's class, but like I don't know. At least compared to like what Seth Lloyd is claiming, like at least like I'm glad I'm like some level. I don't know. Like I think like also like Ito, while like not transparent, is like I buy that this is like his idea of due diligence. Like I buy that. I don't see why meeting with Woody Allen positively influences your view on Epstein. Why is Woody Allen in this? Also, a former prime minister of Israel? Question mark? Like, what? Field says, IDK, Joey comes out of this report looking like such a piece of shit. I mean, some staffers are like, hey, can you read his Wikipedia entry? Yeah. At the time, it included substantial information. Lord, we're just gonna have a whole bunch of Epstein stuff. I see now what people are meaning about, like, Wikipedia as a trusted source from this. Yeah, I can see why, of just, like, it seems like Ito is just, like, fishing around for, like, any excuse to take the money.
Yeah. He has a tainted past, but Linda assures me that he's awesome.
Yeah, I just got to that part. Fuck Negroponte.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is Signy.
Yeah.
Also, like, why is Woody Allen, like, not censored? It's, like, really amusing.
He's a notable public figure. And,
But not senior executive at the Hyatt Corporation. And, like, former Prime Minister of Israel. Like, why, like...
I guess it's still like the nature of like what Woody Allen has done might make. Like famous movie star is much less bad than Woody Allen. Whereas like this isn't like a Hilton executive or Hyatt executive with like a history that's.
I don't know, I'm pretty interested in who the senior Hyatt executive is now. Like, why is Woody Allen just not censored? It's a weird web of billionaires. Like, a bunch of pedophiles. God. I guess they don't care. God, these footnotes, though. Wow. Linda Stone is, like, directly, like, falling into the reputation trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that in the interview, not bringing up, like, Lessig. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's out of concern of his privacy or something, but, like, I don't know. Linda even, like, directly encouraging him to make this, like, just trump up the Harvard connection. Media Lab staff, this is, what's his name? Ethan Zuckerman. This is the Ethan Zuckerman one. Gross. When we interviewed Stone, she told us that Epstein had insisted to her that he was wrongly convicted, pointing to his light sentence in the lie detector test. Like, wow. Like, I think, like you're saying, right? Like, you become very charming when you have money. It's, like, both, like, for Stone and for Ito, right? Of, like, I mean, how this describes as, like, whatever the reason, following his due diligence, and despite acknowledging the concerns, Ito comes to Epstein's defense. Like, I think
also,
that,
like,
yeah.
I also like I think there's like this idea that like if you meet people who've done terrible things that they have to come up as terrible in person, and a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So then you just meet them in person, and you're automatically like, well, I met them in person, and they should be fine. And...
Yeah. Wow. Attempted to assist Epstein? Like, mollify the bad press? Oh my god. I'm almost reminded of like the psychology experiments where like when you can have people make an arbitrary choice, but then they like come up with more and more justifications about like why this is the right thing to do. And like I don't know. Like I think it's kind of scary for me because like I've talked about this somewhat, but like being afraid to like after going through this and like being afraid to confront friends because like I'm pretty sure they can't give me a good answer and I like have to stop being friends with them, right? And just like I don't know, it's like hard to like confront the fact that you're actually wrong, but also like I don't know, seeing how you can like continue justifying to yourself
Yeah.
that like, oh no, I did the right thing, like it's really digging yourself more and more of a hole, right? Like I feel like how this says is that like, you know, after he does this due diligence and like convinces himself, it's like yeah. To even like, you know, the bad press thing and like expanding the giving and like really becoming this guy's advocate.
It becomes this interesting mixture of like you want the bad press to go away because then if people find out about the donations, you get bad press. So it's this
Oh yeah.
like this weird symbiotic relationship that's formed from these donations, right? Like
Yeah.
if you donate a lot of money to you want to clean up their bad press because you don't want their bad press to stain your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Epstein never actually donated more than 150K any one time. You know, held out hope. Donations in the millions. Oh my god, he asked for money for Caleb Harper. Do you know who Caleb Harper is?
No.
He's the open agriculture guy. This is hilarious. Oh, findings 3. Oh boy. What the hell is this gift policy committee? Okay, I pasted some information about gift policy committee because, like, question mark. There's evidence of it. It convened 6 times in fiscal year 2015. Gift acceptance principles were presented and approved by the committee. A process for review of special gifts was developed, documented, and shared with all fundraising staff. So that might be this might be the one-page document. Oh, but Cecily does enough due diligence to check if MIT has a policy against convicted felons. God. Shit. Leslie Groff has recently been named as a defendant. Holy shit. Yeah, you weren't kidding about the spiciness in these footnotes. Yeah, the only reasonable inference is he did this to obscure it. I buy that.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I apparently signed this letter.
I just remember, like, after that came out, Roadkill Buffet's next show was called I, like, apparently signed this blank.
I love that the donor database has nothing about, like, numerous legal troubles. Nothing about child molestation. God. Oh, come on. You don't... They left out the juiciest bit. Which is how. Oh my god. They left out the juiciest bit. Like... Where's the room where it happened? How did the 3 BPs come to the decision that they were going to anonymize the donation? It's like literally like a very interesting part because none of them are involved with MIT anymore. Ruiz was basically asked to step down because of this. Like, yeah. MIT is aware of the situation. He didn't see a problem. But in fact, the senior administration concluded it did indeed pose a problem. It's like that meme of like, you know, there won't be any problem with this. Narrator, there was a problem with this. Alert on recent gift. Proof, perhaps, that our system works. Ironic. Yeah, literally, Wikipedia and basic Google searches. Like, people are not exaggerating. Yeah.
Oh my god, the number of people that are like, hey, there's the Wikipedia page of everything.
Wait, so why did it get flagged? It got flagged because...
Oh, they were gonna send a presidential letter. The PAC letter.
No, I don't think that's why. Let's see. Okay, so in May, he sent it into the discretionary account. Oh, because they're like, who the hell gave 100K?
Yeah.
And then so then they're like...
Because who the hell sends the K and,
June 10th, they're like, hey, Joy Ito, what's up with this? June 12th, and June 13th, they're like, yo, we just got this 100K, but this guy's sketchy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. It's definitely not, they do research on each gift, like, this is like an overstatement.
Yeah. It's just the gift was decently large.
Yeah. But it's interesting that, like, I guess the 50K just wasn't large enough for
Them to notice.
to notice for Seth Lloyd's case, I guess. Oh shit. I also explained that there are no immediate plans on your side to invite him into the lab. Oh shit. And then, like, constantly leaning on Harvard.
Yeah.
Some big, what are our peer institutions doing here, energy?
It's also interesting because Harvard claims that...
To be fair, they keep citing articles that are pre-conviction. Harvard does claim that they stopped taking money from Epstein. Yeah. Newton told us that he discussed it with other people and said that should not accept. Ito really fights hard to keep this donation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like this like developing the relationship. Oh, does Joy bring up the anonymous idea?
Yeah.
Shit.
My previous understanding was that if it was not accounted or named, or the gift might be given anonymously, it was likely to be okay.
Shit! Having Epstein swap donations? Like, I appreciate Newton being like, hell no.
Yeah.
No, we're not taking as much. Interesting. So, like, I know Chris Kaiser. Yeah. So they, like, barely remember this discussion, which is interesting also. It's basically... So, it's not as simple as, like, the senior administration, like, had them anonymize it. It's like, Ito pushed really hard. And because it's, like, to accommodate Ito, like... I mean, if you have that, the donations would be relatively small. What's even point of cultivating a relationship anymore?
Yeah.
Heh. Keep me in the loop.
No acknowledgement letters from the president.
This is after Seth Lloyd.
Huh?
This is after Seth Lloyd.
Oh, this is Rife Science Seth Lloyd's.
Rife Science Seth Lloyd's.
Okay.
That one is 2012, and all of this conversation's happening in 2013. So yeah, that's consistent. Oh, it's interesting. They missed the Minsky donation.
Oh, because it's pre-conviction.
Yeah. So they do have an alert thing. I do appreciate them like giving just like exactly like what the text of all of these alerts are. Yeah.
I wonder if that's part of the forensic.
Yeah. Oh, I think so.
That's what his job was.
I think so, probably. Yeah. Yeah, it's also interesting how like each of the alerts varies between one another. Like that makes it like super interesting. Could not recall any other instance of a donor having accounts designated anonymous rather than at the donor's request. Like, Joey was pulling out all the stops to try to find any way. Yeah. Yeah, so then this like fully explains like what the disqualified is. I mean, Signe has like clarified this point. He was funding Joshua Bach in Berlin. That's what this footnote says. I mean, he's like not super trust, and then like it's like there's this other random dude. He like picks this one he donated to. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Roscoe thing appears.
Wait until you read the last paragraph of this section.
Okay. uh, uh, I mean, I'm not surprised by it, considering that like the notices in there are super vague.
Yeah.
Right? Of like, there's no contact with Epstein without contacting, sensitive situation. For further information, like make further gifts anonymous. For further information, contact, and yeah, the same thing.
No, specifically the conditions that each donation will be recorded as anonymous. Epstein cannot publicize it. The donation.
Right, but if you look at the alerts that are in the database, that would tell the
Yeah.
people in the like those three principles are not said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't said in the database, but like they got all the news stories. So.
Yeah, but like clearly, like this is in 2014, 2015, and like clearly, like how fuzzy this understanding is of like a meeting they had in 2013. Like they're not gonna remember what they agreed to, and so like this is like the bold, like. Yeah. Like, Yeah, like the lawyers know, like that's like the key part. Right, so it came up in 2013, but like the publicized donations issues is 2014, 2015. Oh yeah, Harvard would not let him take money from him. Yep. And the professor said, do some good research on that.
Yeah.
Good lord. Yeah, no evidence that Ito ever reported this. And like Ito intentionally hiding the fact. Yeah. Attention will be drawn if the funds are significant.
Yeah.
God, this sounds like the worst job. Just like fundraising.
Yeah.
Okay, so Julie Lucas is the new Newton, which makes sense why, from Signy's point of view, like she whistleblowed on that front. Yeah. A governance concern was the head of resource development in charge of decision. This is a funny line. There's a potential conflict of interest in having the head of resource development be in charge with gift acceptance. Which is like kind of the issue with Joey.
Yeah.
He's the head of the Media Lab's resource development, and like also like whether or not they accept the gift. Like
Yeah.
and then like yeah. Prefer to resolve the issue before President Reif gets pulled in.
Yeah.
This will be a fun intro for Julie about working with the Media Lab.
Yeah, I saw that and just was like,
This like hierarchy is interesting. Is this to protect the president?
maybe. I also wonder, like, you never want to invoke a higher power, right? You never do. Because either one, you don't want to bother them, or two, like, if you're afraid that something you're doing is wrong.
I see.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because like Reif is also probably gonna bring in like, oh, you have the whole image of the institution to think about.
Yeah.
Do they really want to have that discussion over several more months? It doesn't seem like they wanted that.
Yeah. More stuffy than MIT type institutions. What does hasty pudding mean?
That's the theatrical group at Harvard.
Wow, theater!
Theater.
Also, what's with rich people having, like, terrible grammar? Like, Jeff Bezos is the same way. Okay.
I mean, impeccable grammar is signaling, and if you're rich enough, you don't need to do that. Like, he's rich enough not to care about his grammar.
Joy Ito has a friend named MIT-Epstein. He is a little controversial. You can Google him. Oh my god. Yeah, so you see, like, now it's December 2013, and, like, going from small and anonymous is the requirement to tended to be.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So if it seems like if Jeff Newton was in place, I don't think they would be in as much stuff, because it seemed like he had a good sense of like no, and then like Julie Lucas coming in is like messing things up right now. Okay, so Ruiz, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is also the problem of having only 3 VPs know it. It's only, like, because only Ruiz is bringing up the criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because reasons the email, if this comes up good, which I expect, I told Joy basically what I had told via Jeff already, which is that we could accept 7-figure gifts in this manner for now.
Yeah. Which is like another like creep of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is that you're saying if Jeff was still there, this might not have happened.
Oh, well, I mean, like considering how much that he was like pushing back,
Yeah.
like on this, I don't know. That's my read on the situation.
But it says here like what I had told via Jeff already.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Epstein donations might have been mentioned in
May
the
have been.
meeting in early 2015.
Second thoughts over the holiday break. Me too, Israel. No provocative terms like sex offender. I think it's also like calling a spade, you know, of like controversial.
Yeah.
Like this like tad bit controversial. And like I don't know, I'm thinking about like, you know, how like you or Sadoon like just call out like this is like a woman raping a man, right? Which is like not something that we're like accustomed to talking about. And like something like a sexual assault scene is played for laughs, and then it becomes like, oh no, this like yeah. And I think like that's also part of it is like a fear of like saying like this guy, right? Like
Yeah.
is literally a pedophile, right? Like and like the fear of like calling out the truth is like couching it in these terms of controversial. Like
Yeah.
again, it's like, you know, the MBS is a war criminal,
Yeah.
right? But like, oh no, he's just controversial. Yeah. The benefit of the Wikipedia post. Lord almighty. Also, yeah, it's an interesting point. No higher level of research is done into Epstein other than Google searches and Wikipedia.
Yeah.
God, take me off Mr. Bones' wild ride. I don't want to go to bed. Oh wow, they have marginalia. Specifically, President Reif wrote Epstein, Joy Ito on his copy of the agenda. At his interview, Reif could not recall why he made this note. uh, yeah, it's really just Julie Lucas doesn't know the precedent.
Yeah.
Yeah. There only would be a problem if Epstein failed to maintain anonymity, which he did. Yeah, and now it's like 2017. They've completely forgotten what's going on. Oh my god, Caleb Harper. Do plants think and communicate? I think like Jeffrey Epstein's really good at making people believe he has big money. Cause like at this point Joey is like, oh, I just need the chairman's help into like cracking him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, like they know. They all knew. certain that Epstein was not a friend of his. Yeah. Anonymous and secret. Yeah. It is fine when a donor requests anonymity, but an institution's insistence on secrecy is inappropriate. The corporation have really weird ideas of like their responsibility.
Yeah,
level.
they're just like, oh, we need to make sure we brought in here, but oh no, we can't deal with your financial.
Yeah, no, like my friend who's on the corporation like also has this like weird distance of like it's not our job to bring up issues, it's your job to bring up issues to us. So that's why I like forwarded him the ICE stuff, being like, what the fuck, you know? But like
it seems really weird of like it's your job to give issues to us, but a lot of people are like so scared
right
of this corporation of like, oh, if we do it this thing, they'll like, come up and snatch us, and I was just like
currently
yeah, basically it's
like also at the same time like the governing bodies, right? Like I think I don't know, like DormCon or the UA, you know, like bringing up issues to them, like
yeah.
You know, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
It's really because we come to administration, we're like, we have these complaints, and they're like, well, we can't do it because of the corporation, and they're like, oh, can we bring complaints to the corporation? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, and like the fact that like I have to be like, oh, I just know the guy to forward stuff to, you know, like. So November 2018 is when Joey has like a change of heart. But also it seems like it's after like trying to get his money for you know 6 years.
As discussed in this report, however, the evidence is that Ito in fact continued to communicate with and attempted to cultivate donations for Epstein in 2019.
Oh no.
Footnote 43. Bottom of page 43.
Oh, bottom of 40? Oh, I just missed that one. Oh, yeah. Media Lab began the process of returning the gift without first clearing it with Ito. Yeah. Yeah, so literally some Media Lab staff member just
was
rejects.
like, oh, obviously, like,
obviously not.
You know, would just never accept this.
Yeah. Jesus. Alright, findings 4. So they just meet with him off campus. That's, you know, cool. Whatever. God. Oh, there's a table. Whoa. Oh, hey, it's I know all these professors.
Yeah.
Oh, and Megan Smith. Oh, come on. Oh my god. And 2 MIT students. Why did Josha Bach not get interviewed?
He declined.
Yeah, why? Like,
Why did he decline? I mean, I think it makes it look pretty bad for him.
I think it also looks pretty bad if you decline.
Yeah.
Like, so far, Neri Oxman has not showed up in this, despite being, like, 2 of the funds.
Yeah.
Oh god, I know, like, so many people. The students part is, like, interesting. Like, the large focus on students. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? Discuss the possibility of Epstein visiting MIT's campus with Woody Allen? What the hell? What? Why does Woody Allen show up? Like, is Roman Polanski gonna come in here too? Like, what the hell? Could create a public relations headache. Oh my god. Inviting them. Woody Allen pals around with child sex creep. Oh my god. Oh my god. 2 students declined, which I think is pretty reasonable. Did not want to meet with students because he only wanted to meet with distinguished faculty. All right, let's see this Digital Currency Institute, because like I don't know, we have quite a bit of Bitcoin friends, so like. Oh, someone messaged me like. Oh shit, Matters is in the Bitcoins and stuff. Jeez. Jeez, yeah, we probably knew some people in this. Oh yeah, one of my TAs for AI ethics is in this too. Oh well. And Chinda's in this. If Chinda is involved in all of this, I feel like he would be. Because, like, I don't know, it seems kind of like a bad luck thing that Chinda would have. Oh my god. Yeah, asked if you were allowed to come. Like, Joy knew. Yeah, they're pointing this out. Ito took some efforts to conceal Epstein's presence. I think I went to a talk from Kevin S. Velt. Let me see this. Yeah, jeez, I know that guy. Why do people keep focusing? Why do they keep focusing on the students?
Because, I mean, like, anytime he could have been interacting with a student is, like, a big deal.
I see.
A big deal, especially in his history.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
And, like, especially since one of the biggest concerns, like, from this report is, did he interact with anyone? And, like...
I mean, like, I feel like staff is also fairly young. Like, I don't know. I just feel like a little weird of, like, focusing on students and not, like, women. Yeah. Also, boy, a Media Lab videographer. Feel free to post on social media as long as Jeffrey Epstein does not appear. My god. Professor Jacobson. Oh. Oh, this is like hella Me Too stuff with Charlie Rose stuff is coming too. What is this? Oh yeah, December 27th, 2017. Oh Jesus. Yeah, I think it's interesting because like at first it was like, oh, Seth Lloyd's being a lot like sleazier than like Joey Ito in this.
But
It's like Joey Ito like using his position of power.
to really,
Yeah. It's like the difference.
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like if someone had come to Seth and been like, I'm uncomfortable with this, like, I honestly don't know what Seth would have done, but like,
Yeah.
this is like so much more like, oh, people are having concerns, but I'm pushing back on all of those concerns, and I'm like, people are like actually trying to put in things to stop me from doing this, but I'm like doing everything to get around all that.
And also like literally not taking no for an answer.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
at every single point.
Yeah.
Even when like the higher ups are saying like no.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like I don't know. I can like also kind of appreciate like on one side of like the same thing of like not willing to take no for an answer can like also make him like a huge advocate for women.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like, no, we don't want to hire her, or like, no, like we're not gonna take these concerns and like keep on pushing. But like what good again, like why do you think you rehabilitate a millionaire's image by taking their money? Comes down to like this. Or like are you so like wanting to go after the money that like yeah. And I don't know, I guess like I said, this job seems to suck, and like I don't know what I would do in this situation as well, right? Like Jeff Newton was saying no. Like before the meeting of the let me find this
I think
again.
it was like the second 100K donation or something.
Yeah. This is pages 22 to 26, I think. Jeff Newton is like consistently saying no, don't take the money. Yeah, it's page 22 to 26 and like saying like no, I don't want you to do it. And then like after meeting with Ito in the meeting we don't know of what happened says like okay, you can get it but not anonymous, but only anonymous. God, many people interviewed said the Voldemort line. Yeah, page 54 is super damning. Yeah. Did you see the part where he's directly counseling Epstein on dealing with his negative media attention? Like, it's honestly like, it looks like Ito was just fishing around for different opinions. Eventually, gets the moral clarity that he decides, and then just pushes, and then just like goes all out and like just pushes for Epstein at that point. And I think like that's a big. It's a big shift in. I think I highlighted this. I think it's the thing. I think it's the thing in bold. No, it's not. I can find up this point later, but like somewhere in the report, it's basically just like Ito just like makes a moral decision in 2013 and then sticks by it, and then like everything else is like people are consistently or repeatedly telling him, "No, I'm uncomfortable," and just like him not listening to it. And also like from how this report portrays it, he was like really fishing for an answer to like ignore what Epstein was doing. And like also kind of like papering over the problem, right? Of like, you know, page 54 just has like all of this of like female administrative assistant is uncomfortable. So Joey's like, "Oh, I'll just do it instead." Or like, "Oh, people don't want me meeting on campus. We'll just be off campus instead." Like, yeah. Section 3 is like the important part. If you're going to only read one section of it, you need to read 3B. Like A through C, I think is important of section 3. Everything else is just kind of like, I don't know. I really feel it's like once like Epstein, when Joey makes this decision, and it's like all downhill from there. Okay, so they did not to talk to Swigne.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is like hella why Ruiz had to go.
Mhm.
Certain senior team members, however, made significant mistakes of judgment. That's like why. Oh, they're just laying into these 3 people at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, yeah. Linda Stone, not Susan Joan. And yeah, I think I cite that on it's page 17, I think. Yeah. It's page 17, by the way. I don't even know what page I'm on right now. Finding 5. Just purely laying into but yeah, like Newton initially decided that the May 2013 donation should be returned. He was reluctant to accept it. After pushback from Ito, however, Newton reached a consensus. He reaffirmed that approach, and I really feel that like Lucas was just like, I'm new here, I don't know. I also think it's interesting that they underscore Morgan's participation in this was undoubtedly afforded great weight because he was the most senior member. Yeah. The Epstein policy. Oh, we're just going through everyone.
Yeah.
What? After the scandal erupted, Morgan emailed Ruiz to thank him? Guys, when you know that there's an investigation that's pretty soon to break out, don't just like keep sending more incriminating emails around. Lord almighty. I like think Rife was just pretty protected by his subordinates.
Yeah, basically. That's what happened.
The only reason, like, I understand why they think Rife is not responsible, and like, it's because he was protected the hell out of by his subordinates. Like they even think of like, should we like bring
this up? And they're like, no, we shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't. Yeah. And then it's kind of like, you know, at some like senior team retreat at like Endicott House, Ruiz is like, oh, maybe, you know, we shouldn't be giving this money out. Maybe, you know, and enough to like write this down on the margins, but like, this got protected the hell out of. Fields is saying is like, you know, they did talk about it, but they just didn't put it in the minutes. I'm like more inclined to believe that like it's just got like telephoned so many times of like, oh, he's a bit controversial and like all of this, right? Like, you know, because no one like, yeah, it turns out that when you have like a room of like 3 guys go like, the only women involved in these is the staff members, really.
Yeah.
Like, and Julie Lucas, who was like,
who just moved in and was like, I'm not gonna
argue this of like some decision that you guys already made, right? Like, you know, there's like a bunch of things that people say is not like, again, why we need democratic and like representation and stuff, but like all of the senior administration are engineers by training, you know. Like, let's look at this org chart, because I'm pretty sure it's only Barnhart, who is also not really that senior in the organization. Org chart at Metarechu. Okay, Maria Zuber, but she does research. It's like not related to these funding issues. It's just like it's not right, and just like I don't know. I buy really heavily like the people just saying of like no, like staff are rated lower than furniture, right? And it just like consistently repeatedly getting this like ignored.
Yeah.
Also, like the fact that like I can't even find a website for this gift policy committee.
Yeah.
I think like I would just seriously push hard on democratize MIT because there's like so many things in here of like things that transparency and actual like discussion of process would help. You know, like I think that's like the clear call to action here. And like don't let them just say like, oh, like God, what was even like Rife's comments about this about like oh my God. Right, like of that's appointed committee and about like the institute-wide community process to address persistent issues in campus climate and culture. Right, like the staff have it's not the people that are the issue. It's like just it's the consistent like I don't know what else you want them to do. Like if anything, like people have been speaking up at every single point in this process, especially the Ito, right? Like for you know, if someone's dirty dealing like Seth Lloyd, like there's nothing that you can really do about that until like you finally find it. It wasn't probably even gonna come out until the sabbatical.
Yeah.
Like, right? But like yeah. I mean, even just like this thing about like they don't even have a policy for controversial sources. Like people were protesting this in the 60s about like military funding. And like you know, like my friends can't even like decline funding as a graduate student until now, and then like Rife being like, "That's funny," and me being like, "I have 3 fellowships. Why do I still need this RA ship?" You know, so like I think I should just push hard on that. Like I think that's my takeaway from this of like, no, but actually like, I don't even know where to take this note for myself. Yeah.
Also seems very fascinating to me that like MIT Corporation like slowly knew more and more about this, and despite them being a body that like emphasizes so much on MIT self-image, like
In 2018, they discussed a donor's criminal background does not put MIT's. No such policy was ever formally adopted. They could never reach a consensus of the topic. Alright, what frequently asked questions do you have? A second law firm assisting the corporation was not what we meant when we said we wanted an independent investigation. Rep prompted Goodwin Procter's review. President Rife asked for it. What did MIT release today? We've read most of it. What is the executive committee of the MIT Corporation? They reported to the execcom in Rife because, like, the execcom is in charge of MIT's governance. and it's for overseeing the president, and the president is responsible for direct reports. Okay. In October, when the fact finders discovered that the chair of the corporation had spoken with Ito about Epstein, then the chairman recused himself. Interesting.
It was when he was discovered and not a proactive. I remember talking about this. Let me recuse myself.
Yes. Yeah. Chairman was only recused when he only recused himself. It was discovered that he had talked to Joy. In October. So they honestly, I think like that 6-week time frame, I think they did make it. I think they hit the 6-week time frame. Considering in October they already were talking to the chairman.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an obscure thing. Like, yeah, I think like considering that there was no like paper documentation and they're only finding this through emails, like they definitely knew that the chairman had talked to Ito like a while ago. I have a feeling, well, okay, yeah, you just double 6 weeks by 2. You give the second law firm another 6 weeks to do it. That's a semester. Yeah, they've been just like covering their asses this time. Why did this process take so long? The MIT community expected this report was issued last fall. Many of the interviewers were with former employers whose schedules they needed to accommodate. Additional time was needed to address issues related to the privacy of those names. So yeah, I think it's the second law firm. Oh, they explicitly say no finals are over the holidays. Yay! Took you like 5 years to get this? God. Oh yeah, no, have you heard about the security certificates things? It's actually really funny. Let me go find that. Yeah. Yeah, like they definitely knew this in December. Like you can find this out from the web certificates. I think I'm okay with who they choose to anonymize in terms of like staffers and stuff. Oh yeah, okay. This, yeah, has MIT made this donation yet? MIT will donate the full 850K. No word on Ito. Okay. That's the FAQ, and now the execcomm report. I wasn't expecting to get freaking Twitch trolls on this stream. Ah, fuck you. Fact-finding process taken 4 months longer than what was initially expected. Report being made public. Oh, this is an interesting paragraph. While it is true that MIT did not have a policy in place for vetting controversial donors, there are multiple. The report makes clear there were multiple opportunities to stop. It is regrettable that no one with the knowledge, opportunity, and the authority to do so stepped up. Like, that's a... I don't know, that's an interesting, like... statement. They believe they were supporting MIT by helping faculty secure research funding. What are you doing? Just sniffing shoes. Okay, so the President Reif now has the magical authority because the executive committee gives it to him. And what do you want? Chillibee's here though. She lonely? Lonely. Reif gets magical authority to put Cethalite on leave. From execcom. So the executive committee makes the following recommendations, which I think are pretty similar to Reif's. Resource development staff should be especially vigilant. Like, I think they were. I think, like, it's more... I think the alerting structures are in place. I think it's more of just, like... The information.
Yeah, it just wasn't there. I was like, yeah, staff, you should be super vigilant. Especially when your managers are hiding information about you. That's when you should be especially vigilant.
Yeah, no, Fields, I'm agreeing with you about, like, they could have given them that authority earlier. Yeah, but, like, it's just, like, you know, when people were like, oh, no, it's a department issue, I can't do anything, but, like, magically he now has the... Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. So. It's an issue of sharing the policies. This is very weird. This one is extremely weird. The report chronicles efforts by some in senior admin to sidestep the donation database by reclassifying it as anonymous, which makes it impossible for all but a select few to see the number or amount of Epstein donations. So this is where the integrity and factual accuracy comes from. Where it's like, the issue was that the database wasn't completely correct. Like, what a weird takeaway.
Yeah.
I hate this. I really hate the open campus one. All faculty and staff have a shared responsibility for the safety and well-being of the MIT community and should be mindful of this responsibility when deciding who is invited to visit campus. Oh my god. Are you saying databases are social constructs whose information is only as accurate as their owners want them to be? We ask Rife to enhance mechanisms through which all members of the MIT community can feel empowered to raise concerns and be confident that they will be reviewed. I think that's, like, valid. That's, like, a very, like, empty statement, but, like, if taken, like, yeah. Yeah, Fields, I would, like, hella amplify the, like, democratized MIT thing, because there's so much in here that's just crying out for that. But just, like... caused some women and some staff to feel ignored, marginalized, and disenfranchised at MIT. From this difficult and painful episode. Alright, that's all the reports.
If you want another take, MIT Technology Review has their summary of the 8 takeaways of this report, which feels a little more press releasey than some of these.
Even more than the MIT News one?
They like very aggressively try to make the 8th point something that like feels like ending on a positive note. Or something. Like it felt like less honest than the MIT News one.
That's crazy, considering like I don't know, MIT News is literally the press wing.
Technology Review is the magazine that all the alumni get to urge them to donate.
Damn, did you read everything? Yeah, I've read everything. How long is this stream? This stream has been 3 hours, 20 minutes and counting. So, I have this report. I've got things full of notes. I've got my Google Doc. So what are my TLDR and takeaways? President Rife's subordinates protected the hell out of him. I need to push harder into graduate students of not being able to decline funding. I'm gonna, like, turn this into, like, red font. President Rife's subordinates protected the hell out of him. I want to find that line about Joey Ito. Here we go. Page 17. Okay, yeah, so page 17. Whatever the reason, following his due diligence and despite acknowledging the concerns expressed by Media Lab staff and other, Ito came to Epstein's defense. And I add to this that he pushing back hard on anyone and everyone who raised concerns in the pursuit of, like, potential payout. I think that was one big takeaway I had. I had that bolded section from page 29, which I'm going to copy so I don't have to type that again. Which is, that Epstein repeatedly ignored a requirement that he not publicize the donations to MIT, presented an opportunity to reassess the effectiveness of the requirements placed upon his donations. There is no evidence, however, that this happened. Like, But although Seth Lloyd, I'm gonna probably turn this back into black because it's a little hard to read. Probably turn this into this. Joey Ito consistently uses the power to ignore victims. Well, not even ignoring victims, to ignore concerns raised repeatedly and covered up problems rather than addressing core roots. EX moving meetings to off campus. I want to say something about like the 3 VPs about like people are just scared about calling sexual offenders out. Yeah. People are just scared of calling sexual offenders out, and that refusal to call a pedophile is what allowed Epstein to slip under the radar of a pretty good donation alert system as controversial. I don't know. That's... Oh, we're concerned about the open campus law. Large concern that this is going to be an excuse to crack down on open campus. And over cover your ass liabilities. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Woody Allen and Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. My biggest takeaway, Woody Allen and Jeffrey Epstein have gone up to some shenanigans together. I'm just gonna post more things from Twitch chat. My biggest takeaway, Woody Allen and Jeffrey Epstein have gotten up to some shenanigans together. In the executive committee report, it is important to note that those in the administration involved in those decisions were not motivated by any self-interest or financial reward. Instead, they believed they were supporting MIT by helping faculty secure research funding. I find this rather disingenuous, though. One, these senior officials are not being compensated for their ability. They are in fact being compensated for their ability to get funds for MIT, and that's why they're being paid like $1 million, right? I am also annoyed by the framing that MIT does good things, so getting money for MIT is supposed to be a good thing. Yeah. Well, it is 2 a.m. I have read... What's my time now? 3.5 hours of legal reports. Yeah, that was a stream. Oh my god. Rife is so fucking lucky right now.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest things I'm surprised about was I knew there was more under the iceberg that was Joy Ito's involvement in this, but like holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, holy shit, Rife just got.
Yeah. All right, see you guys. Bye.